You're listening to Actors Endurance, a podcast that inspires actors to never give up on their passion and find ways to continue to grow within the entertainment industry. My name is Shanette Wilson, and I'm an actress, and my co-host is Marlon Hargrave, and he is a teaching artist. And together, we are Actors Endurance. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast with the number one dopest hosts in the game, Shanette Wilson and the great Marlon Hargrave. Now today, y'all, oh yeah, we got something special. We're changing it up on this here podcast. Now we are interviewing one of the first to do it on YouTube. Y'all didn't even know that, but you about to find out. One of the first to do it in YouTube. Now, this Brooklyn born and bred, self-made entrepreneur himself, the dopest, those craziest, because he's a little crazy, but he's fun, professional, producer, content creator. He's a great father as well. Welcome y'all to the show, the one, the only, Marquis Smalls, y'all.
Thank you, Shanette. Thank you, Marlon. It's a pleasure to be here with y'all and your audience.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Now, we definitely have been looking forward to this interview for at least a year. At least. At least. Yeah, so we're definitely happy to have you on the show. So thank you for joining us. I think we should just go ahead and get right into it. Molly, you want to ask him the famous question, since this is Actors Endurance.
Actually, I'm going to ask a question before that one. You're from Brooklyn, right?
I am.
Oh, what part?
Originally Bed-Stuy, Marcy Projects.
Oh, snap. Okay, I lived in Fort Greene for a while. Listen, let me tell you, okay. I love Brooklyn. I was right at the park, right? I could step out of my townhouse and see Spike Lee, the back of his house, like walk right into the park, all of that good stuff. So shout out to Brooklyn. I'm from DC, but Brooklyn was my second home. Love Brooklyn. So New York, I don't detect your New York accent.
Well, again, I travel. I'm a world traveler now. So I done left those confines when I was 18, when I first went to college. So, but I will say this about Fort Greene. I spent a lot of time over there too, because I went to Brooklyn Tech, which was right around the corner from where Spike lived. And so I spent a lot of time up in Fort Greene Park and even crossing across the street from Fort Greene Projects playing baseball for Tech. We played at the field that was right across the street from Fort Greene Park. So I know it well.
Nice. Well, we'll get right into it. Shout out to Brooklyn again. Love me some Brooklyn. So we would like to know, how have you endured throughout your career? Because this is Actors Endurance. First question is, how do you endure? And you've had a lengthy career.
Yeah, I started basically in 1997. So you're talking about now it's like this is my 26th year. Wow. I started out as a screenwriter, and because I knew I wanted to tell our stories and I wanted to make sure that they were authentic, unlike what Hollywood was doing for our culture, particularly hip hop at the time. So I took it personally, and I was like, I want to be the one to help change all that, and got into it early, had some interesting, great success with my first script, and that almost got made, but then eventually, so there's a whole story behind that we might get into. But yeah, so the endurance part of it comes from my own internal and upbringing by my mom, which was to just always believe in myself and to know that I bring something unique to the table, no matter what room I enter or no matter what space I'm in. I'm the only one that can bring what I bring with me, so she always reminded me to make sure that I felt like I belonged and felt like, I kept a positive attitude. And as long as I chose to do something, then I always had the wherewithal to get through whatever the struggles or the obstacles were. And I'm a good problem solver too.
Well, that's great. I think That's one of the things that people need to remember. Everyone in this world is so unique. So if you just stay true to yourself, you're always going to bring something unique and something different to whatever you end up doing in life, you know?
Yeah, and that's going to be really, and not the segue, but that's going to be really one of the issues that actors as well as writers struggle with AI, is that AI can only duplicate what it's programmed to do. And that's where the creatives have to understand. You have to maintain your uniqueness because that's your only way to compete with the AI now. And
Mm-hmm.
it's not going away. So
Yeah.
So are you fearing Chat GPT and all of, I mean, it's an industry killer, and AI has killed a lot of industries. And I think we thought as actors for a while, we thought we were exempt until recently, as we can see. Um, how are you combating that, or how do you plan to kind of deal with AI, especially as a writer?
yeah, I see it more as a supplement and not a competition. Because again, I know AI can't do what I do. You know, AI doesn't have the experience, nor do they have the connectivity with the humans that I've engaged with. So yeah, it could be programmed, but it won't ever have my experience in its algorithm. You know, so again, like I just want to encourage people to make sure that you develop your own tools, because yes, a computer program, just like we use these apps to go in, and I'm gonna just use a basic example, like dating apps, right? Yeah, well, I'm from the generation where we actually used to have to talk to a person on the street or in the bar or in the party to get their attention instead of first interacting with them across these apps. So I have a totally different mindset around how I can bring my creativity to the table that AI will never have. So I don't even look at it as a threat. I just look at it as what I could use as a supplement, to maybe help me with research or help me, with even outlining some projects now a little faster than if I actually sat down and typed it out myself. Like, yeah, maybe, Chat GPT can help me get started, but I would then take it to a whole other level because again, it can't do what I do.
That is so true. That is so true.
Like again, how does AI actually, for especially for us writers, like how does it actually look at places in structure and break structure, where it's a better character choice
Mm-hmm.
to make a decision in that moment. Like think about it, like Tarantino's Pulp Fiction could probably never have been written by AI. You know what I mean? So you got to think about those types of examples, that there's just certain things that, yes, algorithms work for certain things. But again, once the algorithms now become the norm, now everybody's going to be looking for what's not in the algorithms. And that's where you got to stay unique to your creativity and to what you're bringing to the table, both as a writer and as a performer.
That is so true. And now speaking of AI, is since AI is the future, we'd like to know, where do you see your future? Because I know you do so many things. Like, where do you see, your future at?
Yeah, so even when I started, like I started out as a writer because I eventually wanted to be a showrunner, and because there was no real pipelines for Black writers to become showrunners when I started, that's what really led me to create my first YouTube series in the first place, because I wanted to show people I could make serialized content and not just one short film at a time, or just stick to that one concept. So I see my future as eventually having a show or more, one or more shows that I'm running, and um, developing talent as well as developing more of a better understanding of today's culture, and even that whole mindset of how to grapple with the new advancements of technology for people who are struggling with that career wise or struggling with it creatively. um, I want to be a leader in that. So that's where I see my future. I see myself as somebody who can help guide others to success through navigating all of these, new industries, as well as some of the, more refined things that go on in the industry. Like now that we got the strikes, well, at least the writer strike settled, and then hopefully next the actor strike will get settled in a positive way. We could really all start moving forward and understanding that there needs to be a dynamic shift in a lot of the practices that have been around for 40 years. A lot of these same practices that are in the Hollywood industry and in the filmmaking business and in television and streaming industries go back 40 years, some even 50 to the early 70s, with the black exploitation era. Um, so, and even science fiction, like think about it, like a lot of the science fiction stuff that we still resonate with today started during that era, based off of when, we come out of the 60s with civil rights, and we come out of, and, people looking more diverse and trying to come up and create new characters, but also the technology of going into space and things like that. So we have to understand that we got to do a little bit more research around exactly how these last 50 years have truly shaped our cultures, and then see if that's the direction we want to keep going in, or if we need to expand.
I agree. I agree. Wow, so you're prepared. I mean, a lot of people may get caught with their pants down, not understanding that they do have to set some kind of future with AI in mind. So let me ask you this: do you do any stage writing
I
or
do.
stage scripts?
I've actually written a couple plays, that one of which I'm actually looking to get produced, which is a hip hop musical, which actually was my first screenplay that I wrote, which, like I said earlier, almost got made, got down to like the last couple weeks before the green light got put in, and it just got replaced by an even more greater, I would say, a greater concept that eventually became a movie that people know. Like, I don't know if they love it, but I know it became a movie that definitely created a franchise, which was I Got the Hookup. That the company that I was working with at the time with my very first script, had talked me through it. It was one of the experiences that really like affected my way of looking at the industry in general, because it was my very first time, like my very first script. I went to NYU, I learned how to write screenplays, even took classes. I had even worked with Spike on his Doing the Butt video when I was at Tech, because he shot it at our high school, right? So I had already watched Spike work. I had all of this kind of experience, and going into the movie business, my very first opportunity, my hip hop musical that I wrote as a script, where I actually wrote it at the time for Meth and Red to star in it at the time. Mind you, this is 1997. So this is when they was just coming together as a duo too. So I was right on the cusp of like what was hot, and I was feeling hot too. And they was making me think I was hot. And then at the last minute, it was like, yo, you know what happened? All these cell phone companies are putting money into this project, so we're gonna do this one instead. So that's where the movie I Got the Hookup came about. And so people know the name, people know, it was a Master P project. And I had to take that. You know what I mean? It's not like I could say I didn't have no argument with all the money flowing in from cell phone companies at the time, because people got to remember, in 1997, cell phones weren't as popular as they are right now. It was the beginning. So, and if you remember that movie, that's what it was all about them basically, trying to get the cell phones out to the hood and, get them into people's hands. So they chose economically, and that's what, again, informed my early career, in that I understood, oh, this is the business side of it. Like, it's not really about the artistry all the way through. You have to learn how to balance the artistry with the business. And so that will help you sustain longevity. That will help you sustain your own sanity too, for me, because once I understood that business side of it, and that people were making decisions that you really had no control over, especially when it affected your bottom line, that's where I chose to become my own producer.
Okay. Now, has anyone ever just sat you down and explained the business to you, like the business side of it, or did you just have to, learn as you?
Oh yeah, I've had wonderful mentors, man. Like, and I don't really normally name drop, but some of them are, so well known. I don't feel um opposed to actually telling. Like, I will say honestly, like, there was a time I spent with Spike at the American Black Film Festival, and I would even say it was like 2004, where we actually, like, even post me being in the video, he didn't really remember me at first, but I went up and introduced myself to him again. Now, because when I did the video, I was like 16. So now I'm in 2004, I'm 30, like 33. You know what I mean? So different human being at that point. So I had to go up and introduce myself. And sure enough, Spike was so gracious. We wound up, the funny thing was, we were walking through the Lowe's Hotel in Miami, both headed to the ABFF after party. And we wound up walking together for the whole, and Spike is just dropping knowledge on me. And, ever since then, it's really resonated with me in the subsequent meetings I've had with him. So I would definitely call him somebody who, gave me some nuggets. Two other people that really, really stand out to me are Jamal Joseph. who's a former Black Panther, who's also a professor at Columbia University and a great writer, producer, and director himself up in Harlem. He was the first person to actually invite me into his writing for television course that he was running through the Harlem Arts Alliance and Rosa Rivers and all those people. So Jamal's been a wonderful person who sat me down and broke down a lot of the industry. And then also Warrington Hudlin, one of the Hudlin brothers, who made some of the most iconic films that I love, House Party, Boomerang, with his brother Reggie. Me and Warrington actually screened one of my first episodes of my web series back in 2005. He used to host a screening series at Tribeca Cinemas. So, at that point, that was my first foray into even producing and to be screening with one of my idols and icons at his screening show in Lower Manhattan at Tribeca Cinemas was a huge moment for me. And sure enough, the audience was very responsive and gave me a lot of energy to keep moving forward with my very first attempt at producing. And people loved it. And that's really how things got started. So I would say those were my main people who, when you ask me who's like really sat me down, because I can say this too, because I share this with every person that I come across with. One thing Warrington said to me from very early was that for this kind of business, you got to ride it like a roller coaster, because there will always be ups and downs. And it's really not about how you go about just being on top with the ups or allowing the downs to keep you down. It's like you got to understand that as long as you maintain your dedication and commitment to the work, then you will have invariably some successes, and you will also have some that may not be as successful. And you can consider those downs, but it doesn't mean that the roller coaster stops. You can keep going. And so that's a metaphor that always stuck with me from the time. And then Warrington actually introduced me to one of the greatest people that I ever looked up to, because I read his whole background. I was even going to try to be like him as far as moving to France, and that was Melvin Van Peebles. So once I met the Godfather through Warrington, like I was just like blown away. Like the person that I looked at as like the man that I know helped put Black filmmakers on the map, I got to meet personally and spend time with and talk to. So those are the types of things that, yes, I've been blessed to have those experiences. And I really am appreciative of all of those. So, that's just something that, again, I always encourage people in this industry to get out and network and go to film festivals and go to conferences so that you invest in yourself, like spend that badge money, go to those events, meet people, not with the sense of what they can do for you, but try to meet people from a sense of what kind of value can you bring to each other. Like don't just ever look at it as a one-sided interaction. Look at it as I'm bringing something too. I'm walking into the space with something too. And so you have to be able to offer that to people to see if they also want to connect with you on that level so you can grow together. Because again, the other big thing that my mentors always told me about was this is probably the most collaborative business in existence. When you're talking about directors working with actors, directors working with producers, networks, studios, even production stages, sound stages, like whatever, like there's so many people involved. And if you ever look at any, major movie, you'll see, if you wait for the credits, hundreds of people that were involved. So that's something also too, you got to go into it with a mindset of understanding it's not ever about you. It's about us. It's about whoever all is joining your project and coming together to create something that would not be created unless you did it.
Mm-hmm. Wow, that was amazing. And that's why I'm glad we had this interview, because I'm learning so much more about you. This is interesting. And that was one of our questions. Who was your mentor? But yeah, you answered that. That was
like I said, I wouldn't have met any of them had I not gotten out and taken the chance to do something. Again with Spike, and I hate to keep bringing it up, but I was invited to be a part of that video because they were shooting it in our school. I was a football player and a baseball player at the time, so I guess I was pretty popular at the time in school at Tech. And people didn't know this at the time, but Spike, because he lived so close to our school, and you remember Fort Greene, Marlon, it was right there. So Spike actually used our cheerleaders, because our cheerleaders at Brooklyn Tech were award-winning competition cheerleaders, right? So I guess Spike had heard about them. So he used our cheerleader, all of the scenes in School Days where you hear cheerleading voices and you hear like, you know, all of those like real amped up hype scenes with cheerleader voices in the background. Those are our high school cheerleaders at Tech. So what he did was he invited them to not be in the butt video first, and then he told them, "Hey, if y'all got any guys at your school that you want to be in the video, invite them." And sure enough, they invited me and a couple of my other teammates, and that's how we wound up getting into the video. And we showed up, and we spent, and it was amazing. Like having not ever been on a set for a music video or a film before, to get there at 8 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday as a teenager and stay till 8 o'clock at night was my first 12-hour working day ever. But to watch the great Spike Lee work all day long was amazing. And so, and again, if anybody wants to go and check out that video on YouTube, you know, the EU doing the butt song that everybody gets to dance to at every party, everybody knows it now. You'll see my
I knew
face.
it back then.
Right,
You know,
right.
being from DC, we were so excited. Let me tell you, we were so excited. It's still probably the biggest go-go song ever
Yeah,
because of that.
yeah.
So,
You know, you can't go nowhere and not know it.
yeah, you're part of DC history too, because trust me, everybody who grows up in DC, as we say, everybody, we
Everybody,
know
right.
what's up. We love our EU. We love Experience Unlimited. And, you know, they've been giving that song a lot of props lately. And so Spike Lee being iconic, that song is iconic. So you're scraping a lot of icons here just across the board. So that's a blessed life right there.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
so go ahead, Jeanette.
Oh yeah. Oh no, I was just agreeing. I'm after this interview, I'm gonna go ahead and watch that video again. Plus, I just love the song. You know, that reminds me
Yeah.
of my mother. You know, all the cookouts we used to go to as a kid. That song's always playing.
Exactly. Yeah. Again, when it came out too, it was so energetic and it was so fun, you know, and it still is to this day. It's like a timeless classic. Um, and so that's why, again, I always encourage anybody I meet to, whether you're comfortable or not, try to get out of your comfort zone and go out and meet people and put yourself in spaces where you can be around other people that are like-minded, share that creative energy, get caught up in this word that I learned early too. It's called the zeitgeist. Like get caught up in the zeitgeist. And what the zeitgeist mean is, you know, it's a creative, communal kind of experience where an example of the zeitgeist would be when people have similar ideas because of stuff that we're dealing with culturally and it's all happening around us, but we may not know how to actually articulate it and we may not know what it's really going on, but you're like, oh, that makes me think of something that I want to do and that inspires me to do this and that takes my thought about something to a whole other level. Like that's the creative communal thought process that creatives share.
Okay. Love it. Well, we got a couple more questions before we get out of here. We would like to know what are two things, just two. I know you mentioned a few already, as far as like film festivals, but what are two things you do to maintain industry relationships?
Communication, like nowadays way easier. Back in the days when I started, you actually had to write letters to people, like actual paper letters, and send them out. I still have some in my binder that I've kept, whether they were you know, actual acceptances or rejections. So you have to communicate. Like that's the biggest thing, and you got to find what works for you. You know, like if you're not really an extrovert, you're not really, because I'm not a big talker. Like I'll say that, right? So I am more comfortable writing an email or writing a text or writing a letter to people than I am actually just coming up to somebody saying, "Hey, I'm Marquis Smalls," like da 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 da, right? So um, that's the first thing. Figure out your communication style that works for you, and then try to see if you can match that style with others who are already in the industry and established, and just develop relationships. And also, the second thing I think too is just go in. I like to treat people the way I want to be treated. So I encourage people to go into any of these transactions with a sense of not looking or having expectations of what they might be able to do for you. Like I go into every interaction or transaction with the sense of I know I'm bringing something to the table myself. I'm bringing value, especially if it's something I want to create or something I want to do, right? So I know I bring my own unique value to that, my own unique perspective to it, my own unique creativity to it, and my own unique work ethic to it. Like only I know how hard I'm willing to work until you get to know me, right? So embrace that about yourself, and don't go into it thinking about, okay, what can this I need to get close to this particular person because they could put me on or they can make it happen. No, you want to get close to people who you enjoy being around, who you enjoy working with, so that the experience is one that you enjoy the entire time. And then if y'all choose to do a second or third project together, then that's how you continue to grow your career. You can also choose to move and work with different, and maybe just, you creating your first short film or your first small project in some people's minds, because to me every project is huge because it wouldn't exist unless you did it right. But in some people's minds, they look at them as small projects or short films, and it's like each one, if you build on them, then trust me, by the time you've done 3, 4, 5, more and more people know who you are, and they're going to want to work with you as well.
Okay.
Great. Great. Now, I hear that you are something that's kind of close to my heart, being a father of a daughter. I hear that you're a girl dad. Well, just in general, and this doesn't even have to be attached to the business, but how is being a girl dad like? What is that like?
Man, after being a player for all my younger years, and I don't even like run away from it. Like I'll be honest with it, because I'm sure that I got a bunch of friends and women that I've dated that would put that out there about me when I do get famous, if I ever do. But it definitely was the eye opener, for me to truly embrace where I was at that point in my life, because I did become a dad later on. Like I didn't become a dad until I was approaching 40. So um so I did it made me focus more and made me realize that the time that I had to accomplish all the many things that I wanted to accomplish had even more of a purpose now, because now I'm not only looking for my own career success, I'm now also looking to create a legacy for my baby. So it didn't add any pressure. It just made me focus even more. Like I became like Cyclops, that X-Men character, where my eyes now was like ready for lasers. I was ready. So it just really made me focus more. And it's a beautiful thing because now she's at a performing arts school in Midtown Manhattan, in Alvin Ailey dance camp, exploring musical theater. She just got casted in a play that her school is doing. And I already did a short film with her where she directed and wrote it, where I just kind of guided her through it. And we won an award through the New York City Public Schools Film Festival, where now she's an accredited director and producer and writer, and she's only 12. So I'm sharing, whatever I've done and learned with her on a daily basis. And just hear her be so excited about it. And the fact that she just told me the other day, she's like, yeah, I'm going to start taking acting classes on Saturday too. And she's already in piano during the week. So I'm like, how you doing all this stuff in your schedule? But, and again, I got to credit her mom as well, who just really has supported her creativity. And, we co-parent, like we're not together as we raise her, but we feel like we do a good job of co-parenting her and allowing her to grow into the human being she wants to be. And just to hear your baby have that kind of enthusiasm and excitement about something should be what any parent wants.
Yeah. Oh, that is beautiful. I'm so happy to hear that because I know you are a proud father, just like this man right here. Two girl dads proud of your babies. That is beautiful.
Yeah. Nah, she makes me laugh. She tells me jokes. She tells me about her experiences with her teachers. It just keeps me rolling. I'll be like, yo, and as a former teacher myself, so I can relate to that side of it too. And so then I got to give her the other side of it. I'm like, all right, baby, it's okay. If they make you read the same book over again and you don't want to read it again, just kind of like listen to them and let them get through it, because it might not be for you. It might be for all the other students who haven't actually read it. Like, don't get mad. She begins frustrated. She's like, why are they making me do something I already did before? I'm like, chill out, you're 12.
Nice. Well, we're rounding off to the end of this fabulous interview, and of course, we don't want to stop. We may have to come back with a part two. I don't think we've
I'm
asked
always
that.
down to come back with y'all. This has been fun. Like, y'all got me laughing too, and not all interviews is as fun as this one. So I will say that I'm always down to sign up for another episode.
All right. That's
Thank you. So Shanette, do you want the martini round? Of course, we named this a martini round because the martini shots, and we were trying to figure out our own little speed round here. But we have about 5 quick, fun questions. Shanette, do you want to do it?
Yeah, let me take over. Let's do that. Okay, so the martini round is we're gonna ask you 5 questions, and they're all just like 1 or 2 word answers. So it's first thing that comes to your mind.
Mhm.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
You go ahead and count us down, and then
All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, kaboom!
favorite smell,
Roses.
favorite vacation spot,
Paris.
cats or dogs.
Dogs.
What is your favorite shoe?
Any Jordan.
At your favorite time of year?
Fall. I'm in my favorite time of year right now.
Okay.
Can't beat football season,
Yes.
and the weather is just amazing as it changes and the seasons change. The colors, it's just inspiring to me.
Okay, wonderful.
And also I gotta add this for my New Yorkers. New Yorkers know like fall is like the best time because it gets too hot in New York, like for the summer to be enjoyable.
True, very, very true. I gotta say, in New York, fall, but I knew winter was coming. I was like, oh my God. But fall was pretty cool. I gotta give you that.
Right. You know what I mean? Like get that little breeze going. You know what I mean? Like people are transitioning from, the short shirts or the short shorts into, more cooler fashion choices. So yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
definitely the most fashionable time of the year. I think that's why I liked it because it wasn't too, you know how you gotta get layered up in New
Right.
York.
Exactly.
Layered.
Right.
And
Right.
it's right before layer season.
Right.
So you get a chance to wear your nice cable knit sweaters and
Mm-hmm.
your
Jean
suede
jackets.
shoes.
Right. Yeah. Your jean jackets. You know what I mean? Like all the stuff that you really can't wear in the winter or the summer.
You're absolutely right. Well, we thank you for coming on board. And oh, wow, this was very eye opening. And I see why she was excited. I really, really do. She's been speaking you up for quite some time, and this was definitely worth it. We thank you for launching us off. We really appreciate you.
Yeah.
And like I said, I'm always down to come back and join y'all. So just let me know. We can even, extend it to other topics and especially in the acting world. Because I work with some wonderful actors as well. Where we all started out together before they became famous. And I'm like, wow, I actually can go back and be like, ooh, I knew them when they first got started. So I'm always down.
Okay, great, great. Well, Marquise, it was a pleasure to have you on, and we barely even touched the surface into, all that you are as just a human being. So we're definitely going to have you back. But, we really appreciate you coming on, especially being our first interview. That was very purposeful. We look forward to having you back again. So you enjoy your day.
Thank you. You too. I enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.
All right.
You too. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye bye.